Let's get into the headlines of the papers now. See what the papers are saying this morning. Really interesting headlines from across all the papers. Political stories, business stories, social stories, and all of that. I have with me a journalist, Dari Odufowokon. He's one of our regulars that helps to do justice to understanding headlines on the paper. Dari, good morning. It's good to have you join us. All right, it's going to be both of us. For now, let's see. Let's begin with the Guardian newspaper. That's the first one now. It says Zamfara governorship seats may be vacant as court nullifies APC primaries. INEC resumes collation in Bauchi Goba poll. All right, that's what the Guardian has reported. Moving on from Guardian to the Punch newspaper this morning, INEC server secondos kicks as APC wants PDP leaders arrested for illegal access. All right, it's still a back and forth on the access, or the alleged access to INEC server. But we'll wait to hear what INEC has to say about that. Now, from the Punch, let's go to the Vanguard newspaper. Appeal court sacks governor-elect, all APC candidates in Zamfara state. PDP, CUPP, Farashe, others hail verdict. And Zamfara ruling, lesson for INEC, politicians and parties. Lawyers are saying that as well. Then INEC declares Bala Mohammed winner of Bauchi governorship poll. All right, that's what the Vanguard is reporting. Let's move now to the Sun, Daily Sun. Let's see the bright side of the day. Lawan Ndume fight for Senate presidency and has some multiple ideas. They're saying two Northeast senators formally join race. And APC won't share power with PDP. That's Oshomole saying that. Buhari APC chair, governors agree on consensus candidate. All right, that's what the Daily Sun is reporting. Moving now to business news. The headline there says, debt profile, experts fret over major currency crisis. Experts fret over major currency crisis. Okay, let's get into what some of the stories are saying this morning. Daria, I'd like us to look at this story that is catching everyone's attention, not just in Lagos now, but across Nigeria now. 2 injured in another collapsed building in Lagos. This happened yesterday, and it's really calling for concern. And this brings to about a 4-building collapse within, from I think about the 13th of this month up until now.
Yeah, that's about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks, exactly.
And 4-building collapse. Though the state government has been able to explain one or two.
One of them.
As in, this building was actually
being brought down.
Then it caved in.
It caved in, exactly.
But be that as it may, having 3 building collapse in 2 weeks is quite embarrassing. Embarrassing for any government, embarrassing for us as a people. But happening at a time when the government seems to have made up its mind to do what it has to do. Well, I would say they should see through the ongoing process.
Yeah, but beyond seeing through the process, the point there is the building that collapsed yesterday, just 24 hours ago, was said to have been marked for demolition also.
Yeah.
These buildings that have been marked for demolition, who marked them for demolition, and why are they still standing, with some of them people living inside and others people have vacated and they're still standing for a period of time? These are questions even people are asking.
A lot of people put it down to negligence, but I put it down to wickedness. When government officials or anybody like that fails to do what ought to be done on some pecuniary and sometimes sentimental grounds, we have seen over time that we pay huge prices for these oversights. Now, buildings are marked for demolition for reasons. This building is defective. It has to be brought down. And then we mark these buildings and they stay months, years, people staying within. And both the government that should bring the building down and the people that should vacate the building for it to be brought down dilly-dallying, waiting until the inevitable. And the inevitable in this case,
sometimes it might be too late.
Very costly usually happens. Then we start passing the buck and we want to find out who is at fault. We ought to do what we have to do when we need to do these things. Because building issues having to collapse in Lagos or anywhere at all in the country it is, to me, now a national embarrassment. It starts from the issue of how, well constructed are these buildings.
Are the buildings.
The issues of quality assurance.
There's supposed to be an agency to check the quality of building plan, town planning, urban development, and all of that. But I wonder if all of those agencies live up to their responsibility to check. Sometimes when you're driving past a place, you just see a foundation that is being laid. 2 weeks later on, building is going on. In about a month, there are 2-story buildings there, and you begin to wonder. And sometimes you wonder, is this structure supposed to be here? Sometimes it's so odd and so awkward.
And then sometimes it's just outright inefficiency on the part of people saddled with monitoring this thing. For example, you have a situation where a house has been standing for 5, 6 decades, a bungalow. And suddenly one morning, without that initial building being brought down, you will notice some extensions.
Another line, another layer.
Layer going up, the roof is simply removed. Some pillars added here and there, and you see it skyrocketing. And we watch this, and people, and if you consider the fact that housing is a problem in Lagos, in some parts of Lagos, I want to say, you see, I always disagree. We all don't have to live in the center of Lagos. There are so many fast developing areas of Lagos. People who are staying in dangerous buildings on the islands, for example, can have to themselves vast lands and
everyone complains. But the point there is, they talk about also the issue of transportation and mobility. When you have that challenge, people want to live close to where they work, and especially you talk about Ikorodu. If you go to areas like Imota, for instance, it's a vast land, arable land, virgin land, and all of that. Yeah.
You don't even have to go that far. From Ikorodu, the center of town in Ikorodu, the axis towards Jebode, you have the low-cost estate, you have places like Maya, you have places like
someone would say,
and someone would say, to Ijede, you also have places like that.
Yeah.
But
someone would say, if you live there and you work on the island, or you work in Ikeja, for instance, how do you get to the place? So these are the questions.
Let me put this to you. Where do you live? I live in Ikorodu, and I'm here now.
Okay.
It's about...
No, but that's you.
We can explain this.
Okay.
We can explain it this way. When people move in that direction, we will see the difficulties. Ikorodu some 6 years ago was a place some of us would not dread to live. But eventually, government saw that people are there. The issue of the BRT buses came. It has made life easier for you. It can only get better. And that's exactly what I want to say.
Let's hope for the best.
It can only get better.
Ultimately,
then we avoid these unnecessary debts.
All right.
Which is very
ultimately
important.
Government has to take responsibility and be firmer with the issue of collapsed building. Yeah. All right, let's move to the next story I'd like us to see quickly on the Punch. Page 7 of the Punch is saying APC must have its way in the leadership of the National Assembly. That's the Adams Oshomole, the chairman of the APC, is saying that there are concerns already with who becomes the head of this leadership in the 9th Assembly. What are you looking at?
Related to that story is one I read where Adams Oshomole, the comrade chairman of APC, categorically said APC will not share power with PDP. I think I like that. You see,
why would you like that?
I would like that because politics everywhere in the world, it's about numbers. It's about the majority. In a situation where you have the majority, a party with clear majority in the National Assembly, having to share powers with a party with lesser numbers, we can only see the kind of fisticuffs and confusions we saw in the 8th Assembly.
Isn't this the issue of the winner takes all that leads to some of their political acrimony?
Those who crafted our constitutions prepared for a situation where winners will take all. When they said the majority leader will produce the principal officers of the National Assembly, and they created situations where the minority party will have the minority positions. There are positions like minority leader, deputy minority leader, minority whip, and all that. It will go to the minority. So principal officers are not just the majority positions.
Okay.
So in the end, there is a power sharing arrangement.
All right. Maybe other politicians will say, why don't you allow the National Assembly as an institution to handle its leadership and all of that? It's another way of looking at it. Yeah. And then there's also a statement credited to the national chairman saying that all committee chairmen will certainly be headed by the ruling party.
It only follows the normal line.
Okay.
Now, you ask the question, why don't we allow the National Assembly? Adams Oshiomhole or President Muhammad Buhari is not going to go on the floor of the Assembly and say, elect so person.
Okay.
But the party, using the instrumentalities of the party and the fact that the party should be supreme,
okay,
will advise on how these things should be done in the interest of the party.
Okay.
And it's just natural, it's just normal.
All right.
When PDP had the majority, they had their way.
No problem. Dari, thank you very much. Dari Dufowokan, thank you so much for joining us right now. Thank you.